Dear students, in this presentation we will be solving two problems under the head income from other sources. We have already seen all the practical aspects and theory relating to income from other sources. Let's begin with the problems. Okay, this is the first question that we have, a simple one. Let's go through it. The following incomes are received by Mr. Chetan during the previous year 2018-19. First one is director's fees. As it is already discussed, director's fees is taxable under the head income from other sources. Therefore, we should include it. Next, we have income from agricultural land in Nepal. Any income from agricultural land is referred to as agricultural income. And what we have seen in the last semester is that Indian agricultural income is fully exempt under section 10. However, this is foreign agricultural income. As you can see, he has earned it in Nepal. Therefore, it is a foreign agricultural income and it becomes fully taxable under the head income from other sources. Next point, we have income from agricultural land in Punjab. Now this is in India. Therefore, this is a Indian agricultural income which is fully exempt. Therefore, the 16,000 is not taxable. It is exempt under section 10. Next, ground rent for land in Bhopal. Ground rent received for any land is fully taxable. Again, that also comes under the head income from other sources. Therefore, it becomes taxable. Next, dividend from a foreign company, 16,000. What we know about dividends, we have discussed this as a special item under the head income from other sources. Dividend from Indian companies are exempt, but here as you can see it is a foreign company, therefore it is fully taxable under the head income from other sources. Moving on, next we have rent earned from subletting the house. The concept of subletting has been discussed. Again, I will tell you what it is. Subletting means a person. Now here the SSE is Mr. Chetan. What Mr. Chetan has done, he has taken on rent a house from the owner of the house, and a part of that house he is letting out to another person. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಚೇತನ್ ಅವನು SSE. ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಚೇತನ್ ಓನರಿಂದ ಆ ಮನೆಯನ್ನು ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ ತಕ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ತಕ್ಕೊಂಡ ನಂತರ ಆ ಮನೆಯ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗವನ್ನು ಅವನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಸಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಸಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಂದ ಬರುವಂಥ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಅದು ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಹೆಡ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅದರ್ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್. ದೇರ್ಫೋರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ರೆಂಟ್ Mr. Chetan is receiving, it is fully taxable. Next you have rent paid for the house to the landlord. Within bracket it is mentioned 2/3 portion was sublet. Is this an income? No. As you can read here, it is rent paid, which means it is an expense. Now for what he has incurred this expense? To earn this rent from subletting. Under point F, you have rent earned from subletting, which is income. In relation to that, he has spent this. So here, Mr. Chetan has to pay rent to the landlord. How much has he paid? He has paid 30,000 for the full house. And what he has done after that, he has let out 2/3 portion of the house to another person. From him, Mr. Chetan has received 24,000. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಚೇತನ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬಂದಂಥ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ 24,000. ಅವನು ಇಡೀ ಮನೆಯನ್ನು ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ ಕೊಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, 2/3 ಪೋರ್ಷನನ್ನು ಮಾತ್ರ ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಚೇತನ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಂಥ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ 24,000. ಆದರೆ ಚೇತನ್ ಆ ಮನೆಯ ಓನರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಇಡೀ ಮನೆಗೆ 30,000. ಈ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ನಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಖರ್ಚನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮೈನಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ 24,000. ಈಗ ಆ 2/3 ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ ಕೊಡಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆ 2/3 ಪೋರ್ಷನಿಗೆ ಚೇತನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಓನರ್ಗೆ ಕಟ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಡಿಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ 30,000 ಇಡೀ ಮನೆದು ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಬಂದಿರೋದು ಬರೀ 2/3 ಪೋರ್ಷನಿಂದ. ಈ 2/3 30,000 ಇಂಟು 2/3 ಯು ಗೆಟ್ 20,000 ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಚೇತನ್ಗೆ ಆದಂಥ ಖರ್ಚು. ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅವನ ಇನ್ಕಮಿಂದ ಮೈನಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸನ್ನು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ you have winnings from horse race, which is a casual income. Within bracket they have mentioned net. We have already seen the concept of grossing up. Whenever net amount is given, what it means? It means that this 56,000 is after deducting tax. But when we are calculating income under the head income from other sources, we need the gross amount. ನಮಗೆ ಫುಲ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಬೇಕು, ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಉಳಿದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಬೇಡ, ಅವನು ಎಷ್ಟು ವಿನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಈ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಗ್ರಾಸಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಹೇಗೆ ಗ್ರಾಸಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು? ಗ್ರಾಸಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. In case of casual income, the rate of tax is 30%. Whatever amount is given here, 56,000, is after deduction of tax at 30%. So the remaining amount is equivalent to 70%. We want to know how much is 100%. So in this way, we need to gross up this amount. Compute taxable income from other sources for the assessment year 2019-20. To start with, I have taken a very simple question. Please try to understand how each item is treated. Let's have a quick look at the solution. Okay, so computation of taxable income from other sources of Mr. Chetan for the assessment year 2019-20. First point, we had director's fees. It is fully taxable. Income from agricultural land in Nepal, foreign agricultural income, therefore fully taxable. Next, income from agricultural land in Punjab is Indian agricultural income, which is fully exempt from tax under section 10. Next, you have ground rent for land in Bhopal. Ground rent received is fully taxable, therefore we have taken 28,000. Next, we have dividend from a foreign company. Dividends from foreign companies are fully taxable, whereas dividend from Indian companies are exempt. Therefore, this is a foreign company, fully taxable. We have taken the full amount. Next, you have rent earned from subletting the house. The rental income is 24,000. Out of that, we can deduct the rent paid for that portion which is let out. 2/3 is let out, whereas Mr. Chetan has paid 30,000 for the entire house. So 30,000 into 2/3, 20,000 is the rent paid by him. So from his income, we can deduct his expense, and balance 4,000 is taxable. Next, in relation to winnings from horse race, they had mentioned that the 56,000 what he has received is the net amount. Therefore, we need to gross it up. 56,000 is equivalent to 70, as the rate of tax on casual income is 30%. Therefore, we'll gross it up, and the amount we get when we gross it up is 80,000. That's all we had under this question. So the taxable income from other sources is 1,70,000. All the deductions or other calculations will be done in this inner column. When you in the outer column, we will be taking the final amount which is taxable. By adding all the amounts in the last column, we get 1,70,000, which is his taxable income under the head income from other sources. If the word tax-free central government securities or tax-free Karnataka government bonds, if such things are there, then it is fully exempt from tax. Remember, only government securities or the securities notified by the government. Next, you have less tax government securities. Less tax government securities are securities issued by the central government or the state government. these are not exempt, they are taxable, but there is no grossing up of interest. For example, interest on 9% Karnataka government bonds. Now this Karnataka government word is there, it is a state government, but the word tax free is not mentioned, therefore it is taxable. But then there is no grossing up of interest, as TDS is not applicable for government securities. Next type that you have, third one, is tax free commercial securities. What you mean by commercial securities? Any security which is not a government security, which is not issued by the central government or the state government, is called a commercial security. For example, Agra municipal bonds or debentures issued by local authority, they also are commercial securities. Debentures issued by Tata Limited, debentures of Reliance Company, all these are commercial securities. In case of tax-free commercial securities, the company is paying tax on behalf of the investor. Therefore, we have to always gross up the amount. We have to include the tax paid by the company as income of the investor. Therefore, in case of tax-free commercial securities, always you should gross up. Commercial securities with the words tax-free are tax-free commercial securities. Next you have less tax commercial securities. Less tax commercial securities are taxable, and you also have to remember when it needs to be grossed up. For example, if you have invested 1 lakh in commercial securities, less tax commercial securities at 10%, which yields interest of 10%, then your interest income is 10,000. Now from that, they usually deduct your tax at source. The rate of tax is 10%. So 10,000 into 10% will be 1,000. If you deduct that 1,000 from 10,000, you will receive 9,000. I repeat, you have invested 1 lakh in less tax commercial securities. The interest they are paying is 10%. Therefore, 1 lakh into 10% is 10,000. That is your income. But what they do in case of less tax commercial security is, they will deduct tax and then hand over the balance amount to you. Rate of tax on commercial securities or securities is 10%. Therefore, on 10,000, which is the interest amount, they will deduct 10% tax, which is 1,000, and hand over the balance amount, that is 9,000, to you. Therefore, in case of less tax commercial securities, if the interest received is given, for example, they have given that he received 9,000 as interest on less tax commercial securities, it is understood that 9,000 is after deduction of tax. Therefore, we need to gross it up. Whereas, if they give you the amount of investment with the rate of interest, for example, they tell that he has invested 1 lakh in 10% less tax commercial securities. In that case, we can directly calculate the gross amount. So, 1 lakh into 10%, 10,000 is the gross amount which we get. Therefore, in case of less tax commercial securities, when the amount of interest received is given, we need to always gross it up. If the rate of interest and the amount of investment is given, there is no need to gross up. So with that, let's begin with the second question. Coming to question number 2, Mr. Vikrant has the following investments and income in the previous year. So they have told investments. In some cases they have mentioned investment and rate of interest. Some other cases they have mentioned the income, whether dividend or interest, whatever he has received. 3 things. For each point you need to consider 3 things. First one is it investments or income? In each case, decide whether they have given the investment and you need to calculate interest, or whether they have calculated the interest and given you. That is the first thing. Secondly, you need to identify the type of security. Is it tax-free government? Is it less tax government? Is it tax-free commercial or less tax commercial? And thirdly, whether you should gross up or no. Depending on the type of securities, you decide whether you need to gross it up or no. Let's begin. The first one is rupees 20,000 10% central government security. Now this 20,000 refers to the investment. 10% is the rate of interest. How do you know? Because here they have not mentioned interest received rupees 20,000. They have just told 20,000 10% central government securities, which means he has invested so much in central government securities. So investment and rate of interest is given. Second thing we need to note down is the type of security. So here it is central government but not tax free. Tax free word is missing. Therefore it is less tax government security. Do we need to gross up? No. In case of government securities there is no grossing up. Coming to the next one. Rupees 36,000 12% tax free commercial securities. Again investment and the rate of interest is given. What is the type of security? Very clearly given, tax free commercial security. So this is the type, tax free commercial. Then thirdly, should we gross up the interest? In case of tax free commercial securities, the rule is that you need to always gross up the interest amount, whether amount of investment is given or the interest received is given, you need to always gross up the interest. Therefore 36,000 into 12% you get the interest, then you need to gross it up. Next you have rupees 40,000 12% debentures of Bata Industries. Again investment and rate of interest is given, first thing. Secondly, the type of security. Bata Industries is not a government security, so it's a commercial security, and the words tax free is missing, therefore it is less tax commercial security. That is over. Now you need to decide whether you have to gross up the interest or no. In case of less tax commercial securities, the rule is that if the rate of interest and investment is given, no grossing up. Only when interest received is given, you need to gross up. So here we don't have to gross up. Next, rupees 25,000 13.5% debentures of Bhakta Chemicals. Again, in investment amount and the rate of interest is given, first point. Second, what is the type of security? Bhakta Chemicals is again a commercial security. Words tax free is not there, therefore it is less tax commercial security. Should we gross it up? No. When the rate of interest and amount of investment is given, there is no need to gross up. Next, rupees 30,000 in post office savings bank account which earns interest at 6%. Again investment is given. He has invested 30,000 in POSB account. Interest rate is 6%. So we need to calculate the interest. What you need to remember about post office savings bank account is there is an exemption up to 3,500. Therefore, if the interest is less than 3,500, it is fully exempt. Only if it is more than 3,500, it becomes taxable. Rupees 40,000 units of UTI, that is Unit Trust of India, dividend received is rupees 3,000. Here the amount of investment is given, at the same time income received also has been given. Dividend received is 3,000. However, dividend from the units of UTI is exempt from tax. Remember this point because we have not discussed this earlier. Dividend from units of UTI is fully exempt from tax. Next, rupees 9,000 as interest received on debentures of a local authority. First thing, whether investment or income is given. Here very clearly mentioned rupees 9,000 as interest received. Therefore, this is the income received by him. Then coming to the type of security, it says debentures of a local authority. Local authority comes under the category of commercial securities, therefore it is commercial, and as the words tax free are not there, It is less tax commercial securities. Should we gross it up? Yes, because in case of less tax commercial securities, when the interest received is given, we need to gross it up. Next, rupees 8,000 as interest received on Karnataka government bonds. Again, investment or interest is given. Here interest received is given 8,000. What is the type of security? It is a state government security, Karnataka government. Words tax free is missing, therefore it is less tax government security. It is taxable. Do we have to gross it up? No. In case of government securities, there is no grossing up. Next, rupees 12,000 as interest on tax-free Government of India bonds. First thing, whether investment is given or the income is given. Again here, the interest amount is given 12,000. What is the type of security? It is a tax-free Government of India, means central government bonds. Tax-free Government of India bonds comes under the category of tax-free government securities. The interest on these securities is fully exempt. Therefore, 12,000 is exempt. Therefore, no point of grossing up. Next, rupees 5,000 as dividend received from a cooperative society. When we discussed about dividends, we have seen that dividend from foreign company and a cooperative society are fully taxable. So this is received from a cooperative society, therefore it is fully taxable. Next, you have interest on deposits under National Deposit Scheme. Now this is the deposit scheme, it is not interest on securities, and this is fully taxable. Therefore 10,000 is fully taxable. Now we come to the end of this question, where some important points need to be noted. So these are like additional information. Firstly, on 1st August, that is of the previous year, he sold debentures of Bata Limited at a profit of rupees 3,000. What is this profit of 3,000? Nothing but capital gain, which will go to capital gains, and purchased rupees 60,000 9% Indian Railway bonds. For this purpose, he borrowed rupees 30,000 from his friend at 12% per annum. So earlier we had seen this Bata Limited security. He had earned interest. Now what he has done, on 1st August, he has sold the debentures of Bata Limited and he has purchased rupees 60,000 9% Indian Railway bonds. Therefore, we will have to consider the interest on this also. For this purpose, he borrowed rupees 30,000 from his friend at 12% per annum. Now 9% Indian Railway bonds are taxable unless that some of the bonds issued by Indian Railway Finance Corporation are exempt. However, here they have not mentioned that it is tax free, therefore it is taxable. Now, in order to invest 60,000, he has borrowed 30,000 from his friend at 12% per annum. Now, this can be deducted from his interest income, because in order to invest, he has borrowed this loan. However, 30,000 cannot be deducted as it is a capital income. Only the interest on this loan can be given as deduction. Again, we cannot take it for full year because he has invested only on 1st August. Therefore, we need to calculate the number of months and deduct interest only for those many months. Next, the bank commission for collecting the interest was rupees 400. This is a deduction under section 57. He had to pay bank commission because bank has collected interest on behalf of him. That is deductible under section 57. And also for buying and selling the securities. As you can see here, he sold debentures of Bata and bought bonds of Indian Railway. For this also bank has charged a commission which is 1,000. Again, that has to be deducted under section 57. Interest is payable on 1st July and 1st January every year. Now, why this information has been given? In all the other cases, we take it for the full year. Therefore, no adjustment is required. But when it comes to this sale and purchase, this point we will have to consider. Our financial year begins on April. So April 1st onwards it begins, but the date for payment of interest is 1st July and 1st January. So in case of Bata Limited debentures, he has sold them on 1st August. Therefore, it is very clear that he has received interest for 1st July. But on 1st January, he doesn't have the debentures of Bata Limited. He has sold it. Therefore, in case of Bata Limited, we have to take interest only for half year or half of the interest, because twice a year interest is paid. He has received only the interest which was paid on 1st July. He has not received the interest on 1st January as he has sold those securities. He did not have them as on 1st January. Therefore, in case of Bata Limited, 1st July, only one interest, half interest he has received. That is one point. He has purchased 60,000 9% Indian Railway bonds. Now, this purchase also is made on 1st August, that is after July. Therefore, on Indian Railway bonds, he has not received the dividend interest on 1st July because he did not have them at that point of time. He bought it in August. The next date is 1st January. Therefore, half of the interest he has received. Therefore, in case of Bata Limited and Indian Railway bonds, he has received only half the amount of interest. That point needs to be considered. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 1st August, previous year na 1st August ಗೆ ಅವನು ಬಾಟಾ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್ನ ಡಿಬೆಂಚರ್ಸನ್ನು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? 1st July ಮತ್ತು 1st January. ಸೊ 1st July ಆಗುವಾಗ ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಡಿಬೆಂಚರ್ಸ್, ಅದರಿಂದ ಆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು. ಆದರೆ 1st January ಆಗುವಾಗ ಅವನು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಬಾಟಾ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್ ಡಿಬೆಂಚರ್ಸನ್ನು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಅರ್ಧ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಅವ ಬಾಟಾ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್ದು ಡಿಬೆಂಚರ್ಸನ್ನು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ? ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ಯಾವಾಗ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ? 1st August. ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಡ 1st July ಮತ್ತು 1st January ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. 1st July ಆಗುವಾಗ ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅವನು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನು 1st Augustಗೆ. ಆದರೆ 1st Januaryಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅವನ ಹತ್ರ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಬಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಅರ್ಧ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್. Let's go through the solution quickly. So, computation of taxable income from other sources of Mr. Vikrant. Interest on 10% central government securities. They had given the amount of investment. So, investment into 10%, we get 2,000, which is taxable. Next, interest on 12% tax-free commercial securities. Here investment was given and rate of interest was given. When you calculate the interest amount, you get 4,320. But since it is a tax-free commercial security, we should always gross up the interest. So 4,320 into 100 by 90, you get 4,800. Next, interest on 12% debentures of Bata Industries. Now this is the one he has sold on 1st August. Amount of investment was given 40,000, rate of interest 12%, but we take only half of the interest because he has sold them on 1st August, therefore 2,400. Next, interest on 13.5% debentures of Bhakta Chemicals. Amount of investment and rate of interest is given, fully taxable. Interest on POSB account 30,000 into 6%. He had deposited 30,000, rate of interest is 6%, he gets 1,800. However, in case of POSB account, interest up to 3,500 is exempt. Here he has received only 1,800, therefore it is fully exempt. Next, dividend from units of UTI are exempt. Next, interest on debentures of a local authority. Here interest received is given 9,000. Since it is a less tax commercial security and amount of interest is given, we need to gross it up. When you gross up, you get 10,000. Next, interest on Karnataka government bonds, taxable. He has received 8,000, it is taxable, no grossing up. Next, interest on tax-free government of India bonds. So, tax-free government security is fully exempt. Interest is not taxable. Next, dividend received from a cooperative society is fully taxable, 5,000. Interest on deposits under National Deposit Scheme. This is a deposit he has made and he has earned interest which is fully taxable, 10,000. Interest on 9% railway bonds. As we have seen, he sold the debentures of Bata Limited and bought 9% railway bonds. Therefore, we have taken only half the interest because interest is payable on 1st July and 1st January, but he bought these bonds only in August. Therefore, he did not receive July month ka interest. He has received only the interest for January. Therefore, we have taken half. 60,000 is the amount of investment. 9% is the rate of interest. Half that amount you get 2,700. So with this we have covered all the incomes. Therefore, the total income what he has received is 48,275. However, he can claim some deductions under section 57 which I have deducted here. First one is bank commission for collecting the interest, 400 is fully deductible. Bank commission for buying and selling the securities is also fully deductible. Next, in order to invest in the railway bonds, he had borrowed money from his friend. He had borrowed 30,000 at 12% per annum. But when he had borrowed on 1st August, therefore, we need to take interest only from 1st August to the up to the end of the previous year. So, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 8 months. Therefore, interest only for 8 months will be considered. When you calculate that, you get 2,400. So, total of the deductions is 3,800. When you deduct that 3,800 from the gross income, the taxable income from other sources that you get is 44,475. So that is the final answer. I hope you all have understood the sum. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me. Thank you, students.